You know what? If you haven't been paying attention, you missed this, but cannabis stocks have been on fire. That's right, I'm going to have a lot of puns in this script. This after New York Governor Andrew Cuomo promises to legalize recreational marijuana. So well-known names in this space now starting to live up to some of that old hype, ACB, GCG, Tilray, and so on. But of course, remember, a lot of folks got burned from these in the initial hype phase. So should you be chasing? I'm going to bring in KushCo Holdings CEO Nick Kovacevich. Nick, first of all, why should investors trust this rally, which, by the way, has been mind-boggling impressive in the first week of this year after getting smoked the last time around?
Well, we're seeing a shift for investors moving to U.S. operators. The names you mentioned, the Canadian operators, they were the blue chips a year ago, traded on NYSE and NASDAQ. But investors have gotten smarter. The market is here in the U.S. It is, infinitely bigger than Canada and the global market combined, to be honest. And the operators here are executing. Really strong numbers. They've been doing that for the last 9 to 12 months. And people are taking notice. Combine that with what's happening on the legislative front, and you have the kind of stock action that we heard early here in 2021.
Well, and again, these names that we showed and I'm talking about, they're well off their all-time highs. They're even 52-week highs. They went up like a rocket ship, and it seemed pretty easy, right? Okay, legalize marijuana. There's no limit to these things. On your website, you talk about U.S. sales. You say on there that they can double to $37 billion by 2024, and you also just now mentioned legislation. What do we need in terms of interstate banking? It seems like you can't see the industry live up to its hype without the Biden administration decriminalizing marijuana. Is that where you are right now?
Yeah, and I think that's what sparked a lot of the interest. It started on November 3rd when we saw 5 additional states pass, including red states like Montana, South Dakota, and Arizona. And it's continued with now the Senate flipping control over to the Democrats. And that's really opened the door for what many people will believe is going to happen here in the next year, certainly 2, which is federal legalization. We know that Chuck Schumer said that he would support the MORE Act that was recently passed by the House about a month ago. So all of that buzz is creating institutional buying in U.S. cannabis names. These U.S. cannabis stocks still cannot trade on NASDAQ or NYSE. So they're traded on the OTC, they're traded on the CSE, the Canadian Securities Exchange. But still, real U.S. institutional funds are taking big positions because they know not only will there be a catalyst when it becomes federally legal and the interstate commerce opens up, but also there'll be a jump as soon as these companies can get listed on NASDAQ, which again, under the Biden administration, is seeming increasingly more likely in the near-term horizon. And so that's where all the hype is coming from, and that's allowed these companies now to raise money. We've already seen over $1 billion in equity capital raised by U.S. cannabis operators within the first 2 weeks of January. And they're going to put that capital to work. They're going to go out and make smart acquisitions. They're going to go and expand into new markets. And sales are already up 100 to 300% annually from some of these top operators. And we're expecting that trend only to continue in the event that now new states are opening up. And you mentioned New York, which is the grand prize that's now legalized.
Yeah, I got to say, I know New Jersey, said yes, and maybe yes, but it seems like it's going to happen. And obviously, Wall Street investors paying attention now. And if it lives up to the hype, this is just the beginning. Nick, thank you very much. Appreciate it.